right, friends, we haven't been reading the Secrets According to Humphrey book, and I wanted just to try to get through this so that we can finish it before we forget what happened. So I'm sorry, it's my fault. I haven't been as good at recording as I wanted to. I've been trying to get our distance learning up, but this week I think I have things situated so I can focus on these things that I want to do instead of the things that I have to do. So we're going to read chapter 7 in Secrets According to Humphrey. I am in my backyard and it kind of backs up to a busy street, so if you hear a loud car, excuse that please. I'm sorry, but it's so nice out. I love this weather. All right, number 7 is called Secret Pages. Og, you heard her secret too, I squeaked to my neighbor once we were alone. Og splashed loudly. She said, "No other hamster can measure up to me." I said, "Boing, boing." I was pretty sure Og agreed with her. "But she still might get a class hamster." I swallowed hard. "I'm sorry, but that bothers me." Boing, boing, boing. Og sounded bothered too. "Of course, she might get a frog," I continued. Og suddenly leaped so high out of the water part of his tank, he almost popped its top. Boing! I guess he didn't like the idea of Miss Matt getting a frog either. "There are so many secrets going on, and my head is spinning like a hamster wheel," I complained. "And then there's that riddle of the Sphinx. How on earth could the same creature walk on 4 legs in the morning, 2 feet in the afternoon, and 3 feet in the evening?" Really, it was perfectly ridiculous. Who ever heard of any creature walking on 3 legs? "If you think of the answer, let me know," I squeaked to Og. Of course, even if he knew the answer, all I would hear would be boing, boing, boing. I was glad that Aldo worked quickly that night because I needed time to answer the riddle of the Sphinx for my homework. I also needed to find a book that Joey would love. I hoped I could solve both of those problems in the same place, the library. "Here I go, Og," I squeaked as I slid under the door. "Wish me luck." Even in the hallway, I could hear his loud boing, boing. It didn't take me long to scurry down the hallways of Longfellow School to reach the library. "Hi, it's me, Humphrey," I announced to the fish when I arrived in the library. They floated around in their glowing tank as if they didn't notice me, so I went right to work. First, I needed to find out what kind of creature walked on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs in the evening. There are plenty of 4-legged creatures, from the elephants to hamsters, and there are some 2-legged animals such as humans, but I've never seen a 3-legged animal or even a picture of one. Even if I couldn't pull the big, heavy books off the shelves, I might get an idea from the titles. I scurried over to where I'd seen rows of animal books on my last visit. There they were, elephants and tigers and hippopotamuses. I know I didn't get that right, but I tried. He actually said hippopotamuses. They all had numbers that started with 5 on them. Those animals walk on 4 legs in the morning, but I couldn't picture them on 2 legs in the afternoon. There were books about birds. They walk on 2 legs in the afternoon, but they don't have 4 legs ever. And then there were scary creatures such as snakes, but they don't have legs at all. Come to think of it, neither did my fish friends in the library. But none of them, from aardvarks to foxes to leopards to squirrels to woodchucks, walked on 3 legs. I was puzzled because I didn't see hamsters and frogs in that section, but I found them later in another section. No animals there had 3 legs either. I wasn't even getting close to answering the riddle of the Sphinx, but I never realized that there were so many interesting animals in the world. Hyenas, ocelots, and prairie dogs. I'm not really too fond of dogs, though these looked more like hamsters. And then I had an idea about my other quest. Joey likes rabbits, and he loves his dog. Oh, and he likes Og and me too. I squeaked out loud. I think he'd like to read about animals. He was so happy to get the book about creatures in ancient Egypt. That could be it. The fish opened and closed their mouths, but I didn't hear a thing. Were they trying to tell me something? Maybe they could help me find an animal book for Joey. They ought to know the library pretty well. After all, they are library fish. I scampered over closer to their tank. "Can you hear me?" I squeaked at the top of my tiny lungs. They did have a glass wall and all that water around them. Maybe they just couldn't hear me. The thing is, I need to find an animal story that Joey will like, I shouted. He really, really, really likes animals, and I'm sure he likes fish, too. Their mouths opened and closed, but nothing came out that I could hear. The tank was on the shelf behind the big desk where people check out books. If I could only get a little closer to the tank, maybe the fish could hear me. But the desk was much taller than a regular desk. How could one small hamster get to the top? I hurried around the back of the desk, where the librarian sat to check out books. There was a tall stool with long legs, but there was no way that I could pull myself up to the top. Then I noticed that there were many, many drawers on this side of the desk, and Mr. Fitch had left some of them open. In fact, he had left most of them open. Maybe he'd been in a hurry. I started to come up with a plan, and maybe, just maybe, my plan would work. I reached up with my front paws stretched toward the handle of the drawer closet to the floor, and I took hold. Got it! I managed to swing one of my back paws up on the handle, and then I reached one of my front paws up to the edge of the drawer and made sure I had a firm grip and pulled myself up. Now I was standing with my back paws on the handle and my front paws on the edge of the drawer. I swung my rear end back and forth until I was even with the top of the drawer, and I let go. Made it! I landed with a tall stack of notebooks. Standing on my tippy toes, I grabbed the handle of the next drawer up. I pulled myself up, vaulted over the top of the drawer, and landed plop, right in a box of tissues. That was a lucky break. I rested for a few seconds and then used the tissues like a bouncy trampoline and bounced high enough for me to grab hold of the handle of the next drawer up. Made it! This drawer had a stack of 10s marked stamp pad and a set of rubber stamps labeled donated by, do not remove from library, and reference only. They were unsqueakably interesting, but I was only halfway up the desk. So I reached up, and pulled myself up to the next drawer. This one had stacks of little notes printed with hold for and past due notice. Forgetful Phoebe and Hurry Up Harry had received a few of those past due notes because they never managed to return their books on time. Unfortunately, when I reached the next drawer, I fell into a jumble of things. Paper clips and staples, a bottle of glue, push pins. Ouch! Glad I didn't step on those. There were big clips and small clips, a box of labels, some batteries, and a wrinkled piece of paper that turned out to be fire drill instructions. The books in Mr. Fitch's library were very organized, but I think he needs to organize his drawers a bit. I was almost to the top, so I took a deep breath and grabbed onto the edge of the desk. Then I pulled myself up and there I was sitting on top of the tall desk, along with stacks of books, a telephone, a computer, and several pencils. Right behind me was the fish tank, glowing so brightly that the light hurt my eyes. I rested for a few seconds, chewing on the bit of celery I had tucked away in my cheek pouch. When I felt stronger, I scurried closer to the fish tank and looked up. The fish were very beautiful. They were blue, pink, orange, and yellow. There were striped fish and polka dot fish. I stared and stared as they circled around the tank, opening and closing their mouths. I remember my plan, so I began to shout, "Fish friends! I am a classroom hamster. One of my classmates, Joey, doesn't think that he likes books. I think he would love an animal story from the fiction section. You live in the library. Do you have any ideas?" They kept on circling and opening and closing their mouths. One of them, with a bright blue body and white stripes, caught my eye. "Did you hear me?" I shouted. If I kept it up, I'd probably lose my voice. Still looking at me, he opened and closed his mouth. It looked as if he were talking, but I couldn't hear anything but the bubble, bubble, bubble sound the tank made. I sighed. I was disappointed to learn that the fish were not going to be helpful at all. I'd worked very hard to get it up to the top of the desk, and my plan had failed. So I sat for a while, trying to figure out what to do next. I didn't want to see the fish opening and closing their mouths, but saying nothing, so I turned away. That's when I started to notice that books that were stacked on the checkout desk. Some of them had wonderful titles, such as If You Lived on the Moon and The Mysterious Magic Wand. I'm not sure if I'd like to live on the moon, but I'd like to read about it. And if I had a magic wand, helping my friends would be so much easier. I walked around to see the other books on the desk. A a book about a girl with funny red braids stuck straight out from her head. A book about rocks. But the book next I saw got my attention. There was a little boy on the dark red cover. He had big eyes, just like Joey. And he was surrounded by animals, a bear, a snake, a panther, and a tiger. The Jungle Book was the title, and it was written by someone with a very strange name. At least strange to me. It was Rudyard Kipling. A boy who lives in the jungle and is friends with the animals, all kinds of animals? That sounded like a book Joey would like. But how could a small hamster like me get a great big book to room 26? I sighed. My plan, it had a giant glitch because I'm so tiny. Joey might never get this book that was perfect for him. Then I remembered my trip up to the drawers. I'd seen rubber stamps and paper clips and sharp push pens, and I'd also seen those notes that said hold 4. It wasn't easy, but I managed to hop my way back down one drawer. There they were, hold 4 notes. I carefully pulled one off the top, held it in my teeth, and pulled myself up to the next drawer and back to the desktop. I set the hold 4 note on the desk and grabbed a pencil. I'm used to writing with the tiny pencil that goes with my notebook. This was a big, big, big pencil, but I could lift it with 2 paws. It wasn't easy, and it took a very long time, but I managed to write Joey's name. My writing was small and shaky, but I was pleased when I looked at the note and saw, hold 4 Joey, room 26. I crossed my toes hard. Wish me luck, I squeaked to the fish. They didn't answer, but maybe they glowed a little bit more brightly. Then I started my slow climb down the drawers, across the library floor and under the door, back to room 26, back to the place that I love best of all. When I got back, I was too tired to tell Og everything that happened. Cross your fingers, paws, webbed feet, that my plan will work, I said. Og splashed around as I hurried back to the safety of my cage. A little nap would have been nice, but I had too much on my mind. I pulled my notebook out from behind my little mirror. I hadn't solved the riddle of the Sphinx. I wasn't sure if Joey would ever get the Jungle Book, but I'd done my best, and I had other things on my mind. I opened my little notebook and began to write. Human secrets that I know about. A student is leaving room 26 soon, and I don't know which student, and I don't know when. Question. Why is Mrs. Brisbane happy about that? Because I am not. Aldo has a secret that his wife Maria told him. What is it? I have no clue. Joey's secret is that he doesn't enjoy reading. Will my plan work? Secret clubs. They started with Kelsey and Phoebe, and now Rosie, Cassie, and Sophie have a secret club. So do Tall Paul and Small Paul. Feelings are being hurt. How can I stop this? Miss Mac has a secret longing to have a class pet. Will she get another hamster? Will she love it more than she loves me? My secrets. I write my secret thoughts in this wonderful little notebook, but I don't let anyone else see it. I have a lock that doesn't lock, and I hope no one ever discovers that secret either. Question. Are secrets good, or are they bad? And that's the end of chapter 7. So that sounds like there was a little bit of a breakthrough. Humphrey is sure a tricky little hamster. I would love to see him in action. I think that would be really funny to see a little hamster exploring. One thing I thought about is that he does write in his journal, and that's something that in all of the books has always been really important to him. And here's a little secret about me. Ever since I was little, like maybe 7 or 8, I wrote in a journal every single day of my life. I did stop for a few years when I had kids and was really busy, but I still write in a journal. Sometimes I only write a sentence or just a very short little thing. Sometimes I draw a picture. Sometimes I write like screaming words because it was a really bad day, so it might say like ah or something. But I still write, and when I fill them up, I just throw them away. I do not keep them. It's really silly, but that's kind of a fun fact about me. It helps me get all of my thoughts out onto paper, and I know some of you enjoy writing as well. So maybe you write in a journal, and it's just a good outlet. It's a healthy outlet because you're not holding things in, and sometimes that can be tricky for some of us. All right, my friends, I will read you chapter 8 tomorrow, and I hope that you're all having a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.